the top left side of the map, there lies a blue Zerg fighting for Kaisi Gaming. There we go. I didn't need to cheat. I knew that. It's Solar. There you are. There you are. And for System Gaming, that's a red Terran in the bottom right side. Get fit up for this man, GUMIHO, a towel Terran. I don't think that was very smooth, was it? Let me try that again. Whoosh. That's better. It's a bit better. It's a bit better. It's acceptable. We'll roll with the punches. We'll just keep it going. Solar and GUMIHO should be a pretty cool match, honestly. Sometimes I would imagine Solar's just gonna wipe the floor with GUMIHO, though, seeing that it is Solar and he is an absolute beast of the race of Zerg. But you know, he has these good days and he has these off days, just like anyone else. But I feel like they're more pronounced for Solar sometimes. I don't know if that's something people would agree with, but you know, that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting sometimes regarding Solar. Sometimes he's just the best Zerg in the world on a day, right? That can happen. That can happen. And then someday he's like, you know, top 10, maybe top 20 Zerg. It's a big difference. It is a big difference. Alright. People always talk about consistency, and that's one of the most difficult things to really talk about in a way, because you know, nobody's ever truly consistent, right? It'd be crazy if somebody wins every single game of StarCraft 2 that they play. Might be something wrong with the game if that were the case. Right? And there's not a single chess player that wins every single chess game that they play. Are there people that win like 90% of their chess games? I don't think so, right? I guess it depends on their opponents as well. Alright, well, pretty standard openings here for both players. Very standard openings. No Reaper at Assault, though, for GUMIHO. That's something worth noting. He kept him at home. Kept him in place. Didn't even send an SCV across. He did do a little bit of perimeter scouting. Maybe looking for an Overlord or something. Maybe, perhaps. Seeing if it would be coming in. Proxy hatcheries. I mean, that's not really something that happens all that often nowadays, right? How does Solar know? How does Solar know? Walks in just as the Reaper's leaving here. Absolutely bloody mind reader there. Something's going on. Well, he sees the Hellions, gets burned by them. So he kind of knows about at least 2 Hellions being out and about on the field. Usually means more Hellions are coming along. Spore Crawler time for that drone does keep him alive. And the Reaper escapes. Might be able to group up once again with those Hellions here. Overlord Scout is going to figure out, you know what, maybe this isn't the best job in the world. Just floating around, you know what, doesn't seem too dangerous, but if you put it like this is pretty abysmal. Still puts the starports onto the tech lab when the Overlord was there. So Solar knows about, you know, there being a starport with a tech lab on top of it, but instead of Banshees or something like that, we're seeing Ravens being constructed. At least one single Raven. I'm imagining that's just going to be for creep denial, right? Usually you don't really see that much Raven harassment in the TVZ. Although Raven harassment has been becoming more a regular, normal thing to see. Wow. Ooh, this could be scary. Great control with those drones so far. Really, absolutely fantastic. Making a little wall there of bodies. Little tiny circling bodies. And keeping things afloat. The Overlord here is going to get picked off. That is 2 kills so far on that Viking right there. Combine that with the 6 links killed and a single drone. I mean, it's something. It is something. I don't think Solar is sweating too much already, but you know, gotta trade some things here and there. He's still on 53 workers, so perfectly fine with this. Pulling the drones away from the Hellions, a scary thing to do. Does bunch them up quite a bit if they if the Hellions keep running. They will outrun those drones eventually, but Solar manages to keep all of his drones alive. GUMIHO doesn't commit any further. You're not quite certain whether or not there's Zerglings waiting there either, right? Just to wrap around you, and then instead of getting 15 drones in a single shot, you're just walking into Zerglings and you die. You lose all your Hellions. Alright, second attempt here. There we go. There's the Zerglings this time around. Pretty good spot. Auto turret keeping the Queens at bay as the Hellions are trying to maneuver around it. Interesting little strategy there. Can't quite make it work, but still pretty cool. Interesting idea, at least, right? Alright. Marinus. There is a armory coming in. There's still a lot of Hellions around. He's never really sacrificed them. So this could turn into a Hellbat push with quite a couple of additional units there. Quite a set of boys. Marines, a siege tank, a Viking. All participating in this push right now. You might send them in from different angles though. That could be the case here, as I'm seeing them both kind of setting up on two flanks. Does have stim pack, quite an aggressive stim here, but does have the two medevacs coming in to help out now. Also, Hellions still Hellions. Is he going to transform those bad boys, or is he going to keep them as the Hellions? I mean, you could make the case, right? As long as there's no baneling speed, those Hellions are going to tear apart those slow banelings, but does decide to go for the Hellbats. Manages to heal them up this way, of course, as well. Raven's got a little bit too ambitious, flying in there on his own. As a Ling run by manages to get 6 workers as well on GUMIHO's side of the field here. Definitely makes GUMIHO a little bit of the player that needs to get things started at this moment in time. Solar, look at this prepping that he's been able to do. It's probably not anymore a moment where you want to push in here as GUMIHO. That is just way, way, way too much. He might not even be interested in pushing in here. He might just be sitting here denying creep, hoping that Solar is going to start pushing into him. I think this is a little bit of a limited time as well, where this is going to be efficient overall. As soon as there's enough Zerglings to really squash this, right? No matter how well you spread out, it's still going to be pretty okay trading-wise for the Zerg. Oh, Marine's getting chased onto the creep. Good pickups. Manages to get most of them out of there. Moves the siege tank. Moving the siege tank was a moment for Solar to realize, alright, let's start pushing this. And cleans this up with ease, yeah. 81 workers now versus 63. Definitely a problem here for GUMIHO. This secondary drop doesn't really manage to get anything done either. I don't think he's only got 2 drones so far killed. As Solar's sitting now on 81 workers. Quite a bit of an economy on the 5 bases as well, don't forget. Versus 3 base, and now starting to just pretty much make the Zerglings. The Zergling baneling composition here, I think, honestly, it might just kill him. It might just kill GUMIHO at this moment in time. Yep. GG. GG is called. GUMIHO takes a dive. Takes a loss. And Solar takes game number 1. Reaper is coming. Drone already on location. Is the Reaper going to check for it? Will not. I mean, the drone could just become a gas geyser as well, right? But not bad, actually. This Reaper Kind of sticking onto the creep, but he's just dueling those for 6 Zerglings actually in total now. Sees the expansion, kills the cleaning bot. No cleaning for you today, sir. And a very quick third command center coming out of GUMIHO here on the other side of the map. A completely different build than we saw the previous game. Solo kind of sticking to his true colors. What we saw him do before, and now just kind of doing it again. That mass bailing style is a very proficient way of dealing with opponents, so especially if you feel like your macro is just a bit better than your opponents. If you don't manage to get damage done onto the Zerg either, that is definitely a guarantee of that Zergling bailing being quite efficient in this level of play that we're witnessing right now. Especially if you don't have those Widow Mines. Look at that, once again going for the Raven here. Not something that he just brings out now and again. Might be something that he's just used to using now, right? I like how much droning we're seeing here out of Solar. He's only on 6 links, even with those, what was it? Well, I guess it's only 2 Hellions right now. It's gonna be 4 Hellions pretty soon, but yeah. It's very relaxed. And a Roach Warren. Ooh, a Roach Warren, okay. We're gonna get a 3 base Roach push here. A lot of things you can do with those Roaches, of course. You could try to just kind of deny the area of the 3rd base, having Ravagers and such. A great way to deal with the fortified Terran, especially in the earlier part of the game. You can get away with, right? You take 1 Widowmine hits or 2 siege tank shots, you drop the biles, and bam, there you go. You have an entranceway. This could be big as well, actually. The Hellions committing, haven't really committed yet so far in the previous game, but this time around, looks like they are going to attempt quite the run by here. Doesn't look like he's getting through too much, but there we go. Now he's starting to rake in those drone kills. Absolutely fantastic. Even gets a queen as well. Now onto the main base. That is a lot of drones going down. 17 so far. More yet to come. Wait, is there yet more to come? Oh, the drone clump right there. It's got to be careful. Got to be careful, Mr. Drone. There we go. 19 in total. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. 2 engineering base coming in as well for GUMIHO. Was that enough to deny Solar from any type of massive counterattack right now? It looks like he is attempting to start droning up again, right? He is getting the Roach speed still, but I doubt that he's going to go for a big offensive play here. I'm not entirely, I'm not 100%, but seeing this amount of drones being produced right now, it makes me feel like he is not going to go for some sort of a timing push, because it would be so much delayed in comparison to what he would have done otherwise, right? We have seen the more so defensive Roach play as well from players such as Dark, right? He's kind of the one that popularized that. You kind of play defensively with the Roaches, keep your bases alive, keep your drones alive, and then you can go with the upgrades of full ranged, and ultimately you're gonna end up with a very, very well upgraded lurkers. And that's when you really start hitting your strides there with the efficiency as the Zerg. We'll see. How many Roaches are we getting? We're only getting 8 so far. If there's any more drones being produced as well. I mean, there's a 4th base coming up. Might just make a little Roach pushing force as well, of course. You could decide to do that. So it doesn't seem to be a horrendous timing either for one of those, right? We are seeing Widow Mines being constructed right now. That's an interesting take. GUMIHO did spot the Roach Warren, but maybe not anticipating the Roach just to be the main course of on the menu right now. Yeah, and quickly switches it around. Going from Widow Mines into Siege Tanks. Already was making even the Drilling Claws upgrade right there. So he was starting to get ready for that Ling Baneling Star, but now with the Roaches, quite an interesting interaction between these two. Wonder what the thought processes of both players were as they were going for this. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, right? If you're up against that many Ling Banelings in the first game, you're like, alright, well, next game we're just gonna make Widow Mines. We should be good against this. Now you're up against Ravager's Roach. Pretty much the worst enemy to fight against as Widow Mines. The Marines do have Stim Pack, they do have combat shields +1/+1, same as the Roaches. It looks like they're missing a little bit of a buffer force here, especially with the Biles just yeeting away the Widow Mines. Not much left of Siege Tank power either. Okay, there is another one coming in, so 2 Siege Tanks now available. And he puts both of them onto the low ground. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of having both of them on the low ground. I guess Solar does still have that Overseer anyway, regardless, but well, let's see. Is this gonna pan out? The Marine numbers seemingly to be enough. The Queens were here as well. This is a big old push from Mr. Solar, and it looks like it's gonna start to backfire now. These Marines coming across the map. Solar still just force-feeding more Roaches into the ball of Marines right now, and I'm not sure if I like that idea. He did kill 32 workers though, so GUMIHO, this is the time where you're gonna have to start, you know, kind of pushing forwards here. He's got 4 Siege Tanks with him. This is a good moment for him to do so. Try to make something happen. Some drones on that production line there for Solar, but he does seem a bit... how do you say this? He does seem a bit panicked in a way. You guys hear that very loud rain on my window? I don't know if you can. Interesting. Alright, well, anyway. Those are some thick raindrops. Some thick raindrops. And my window is being biled down by the Roaches from the heavens. What are Roaches? Alright, those Zerglings don't manage to get too much done, but still nice to kind of have GUMIHO consider the possibility of run-bys, right? Not sending everything across the map continuously, yet still does that anyway. And, you know what, I think this is just going to start cracking now. There's not a single Marauder in sight, but if you just have enough Marines, you will destroy those Roaches. Especially if you have Liberators, Siege Tanks as well to kind of buffer for that force. Always ready to move back, and yeah, Solar without any Banelings whatsoever dies to Marines. Alright, GG. Right, so that Roach attack from Solar there in that previous game, there's a couple of things that I'm trying to consider there, right? Like, how could you still salvage that position? Could you still, you know, what could have gone differently and make that go into Solar's way, right? So one of the things I'm considering is if GUMIHO isn't aware that it's Roaches as quickly as he could have been, right? He could have still been making those Widow Mines, and that could have been quite a advantageous position there for Solar to then push in, right? With just a bunch of Widow Mines on the field, you just start crashing through there. Take all of those down, and then you could potentially switch it up into Circling Baneling again. Or maybe you're just going to break through when there's no Siege Tanks on the background just shooting you, right? There was always one, if not 2, maybe even 3 at one point in time. But yeah, that's a lot of damage. Another way for Solar, of course, to play that perhaps is not by going for that attack, or at least not committing to it as much as he did, right? He brought in the Queens. He kept sending in more and more reinforcements as well. It wasn't just one big wave of Roaches trying to see if he could get some damage done. No, sir, it was just Roach after Roach after Roach, all coming in one by one across the map, as the trading was already not really going into his favor anymore. Ooh, losing one of the Reapers by GUMIHO. He's making 2 Reapers at a time, so losing one of those Reapers here right off the bat, quite a nuisance. Pretty clear that he is trying to get some real Reaper harassment going. Gets a creep tumor, I suppose, for one of the Reapers. In exchange, he's got the double barracks here at the low ground. Right, I haven't really looked at that yet, have I? Or addressed it. I was still talking about the previous game. Okay, okay. It is only 2 barracks, but it's definitely interesting. It's not something you see every day. That's for sure. So far, you know what? It's definitely forced out a lot of links here. Maybe Solar not fully aware of what he's playing against either. Might be anticipating proxy Rex right now. There's the links. Let's see if the Reapers manage to clean this up still. How's the micro on this man? Losing 1, losing 2. Yeah, he's going to lose all of them. Can't quite make that juggle shoot make its magic work. It's such a difficult thing to do, man. Very difficult thing. Kind of trying to stun lock those links as they're all just around you, you know. It's without having your own Reaper stun locked as well by the Reaper nade. That's kind of the thing you have to do, right? Bounce the links without bouncing your Reapers, so your Reapers can shoot for free for a short moment in time. Then you have the next nade, the next nade, the next nade. That's a lot of free shooting you can do. And then sometimes you can manage your way out of that, but not this time, not this time. More fancy stuff coming out of GUMIHO. Look at that. Hellions joining the fray now with the Reapers, and behind it a fusion core in production as well. Battlecruiser, next step of evolutionary trade in the Terran arsenal. And it will not be scouted by the Overlord, nor will it be seen by the Zergling here. So that's going to come in as a bit of a surprise. The Overlord does see the tech lab onto the starport, but that's not something uncommon we haven't seen before this game, right? He's consistently been going before the tech lab starport to start making a Raven. So that might just be the first thing on the mind of Solar, and not really taking into consideration that the battlecruiser could be an option here as well. Of course he shoots still, but, you know, I wouldn't blame him for not being the first thing on his mind right now. A clever little mind play here. As Solar's still trying to kind of get a good look at the main base or the secondary base of GUMIHO. See what the production is. Oh, this could be a lot of drones. That could be a lot of drones. The Queen being sent to the sideways, flung away, and now again we are seeing a drone massacre taking place here. Quite a good amount of them, 13, and the battlecruiser hasn't even arrived yet. Viking, how many Overlords did you kill? One of them. You know, it's something. It's definitely something. Spore crawlers are being added into the mineral lines. Every single one of them does have a spore crawler and a single queen. It's not entirely enough on its own, but then we look over here and we see that there's 5 queens extra just walking around spreading the creep. Having a reasonable bit of the... how do you call this? Energy, so... should be doing alright. Here comes the battlecruiser, quick on the drone pool here from Solar. Looks like he was looking at the right angle. Or maybe had his eye on the minimap there at the right time. Queens arriving, and here we go, targeting the drones. 3 of them go down, rotating now. There's 2 spore crawlers there. Not something you can engage anymore with this battlecruiser, but... you know what? 3 drone kills on top of the other. How many he got? I wouldn't be too upset about that. Delaying a little bit of the gold base mining here as well as Solar trying to move a drone out to grab that base. Getting forced back by that battlecruiser. And oh my, we are going to go full on into mech here from this point onwards from GUMIHO. Something that I was talking to a friend about yesterday, where he was like, GUMIHO doesn't really play mech anymore, right? I told him, yeah, it's true, it's true. GUMIHO doesn't really play that much mech anymore. Probably gonna see him play bio every time. Because most of the time when I'm casting him and I'm seeing him play, it does come down to the bio. And there I am just sitting like, oh, maybe we'll get to see his mech. But doesn't quite happen. This time around though, look at that. Definitely 2 armories, a whole bunch of factories in that base of his. Another Hellion run by here, not finding really anything. Except for their utter demise. Fair enough. Solid hold there for Solar. He's still on 66 workers as well. In comparison to how many GUMIHO has, it's not too bad. It's alright. The drone losses were heavy, 19 of them. But it seems like he is doing okay with that loss. Now, is he gonna stay okay, or has he sustained too much of a deficit now to really still be able to make an army capable of dealing with the army of GUMIHO here? That's the question on my mind. The battle cruisers, 2 of them, third one is about to be ready. A lot of siege tanks coming in here. Solar should be aware now though, right? Yeah, I mean, he's making the roaches, mostly roaches, so he is entirely aware of the mech play, I would say. Then again, we saw him play roaches against Bio the previous game, so, you know. Wait, he did see the other 2 barracks here at the front. Did he see that those are the ones from there? No, okay, no, he didn't see the 2 barracks from here actually even. It could have been quite weird, right? You could have been like, wait a moment, you have 4 barracks? What? So you are going Bio? It's not the case. The Zerg Berry Field's under attack. The Zerg Vineyards. Really does look like a vineyard here. Just you have these big rows of creep tombs, just layer after layer. Big old field. Right. Offensive play from Solar. Is this the right call at this moment in time? He could always just kind of move back, right? He doesn't have to commit. He's got the more mobile army. As he worms his way in between the multiple bases right now. He takes out a fair amount of siege tanks, but there's still quite a few remaining. 4 of them in total, 2 on the mineral line, 2 of them on the high ground. So the ground force is definitely going to get their butt kicked. The Corruptors are... Wait a moment. Are they going to get their butt kicked? Are they? No. This doesn't look like a butt kicking to me. It looks like there's just barely enough roaches and zerglings here now to do game-ending amounts of economic damage. There was like still 5 roaches remaining and a couple of links. And they killed 25 SCVs. And that's it. That's a GG. Wow. So winning with the roach style there in the previous game. Maybe you think he was anticipating in game number 2 also a mech play out of GUMIHO? You think that's possible? It's sometimes hard to say, you know, why choices are being made. But seeing that roach push against the mech in its earlier stages, man, makes me kind of feel reminiscent of the Queen push against the Stargates, right? Against the Protoss, before the Protoss really knew how to deal with it. They're starting to get better at it, but, you know, it's still like one of those pushes in a moment in time where it's like, alright, well, this is just going to kill them now. It's just, you'll just not have enough of the high-tech tier units to stop this, you know, low-tier, well, relatively low-tier attack of Zerg from just crushing all over you right now. Spawning pool first from Solar allows these links to get here quite quickly and even get access into the main base. Interesting stuff here. Looks like GUMIHO didn't have too much trouble with that. Losing 2 SCVs for the price and quite a bit of mining time as well. No, I would put that up as worth it for Solar in a way. Let's take a look. Yeah, look at that. That's a big old blue spike right there. A big old blue spike. Third base already in production there for Solar as well. That's how it works. Spawning pool first. Get that third hatchery still before 3 minutes. Did I call it a solar pool? I meant spawning pool, obviously, but there you go. Now, with how that previous game went, are we still anticipating mech here out of our red Terran? I hope so. In a way, I do hope so. I'd like to see him attempt it again, even though this isn't the greatest moments for him in the, I guess, overall to maybe try it. Ah, screw it. What's the difference, right? Just give it a go, GUMIHO. I'm I'm willing to roll the dice on this if you are. Gets that Overlord. The little scouting Ling does get away. It's a little bit quicker than the Overlord is. Still just droning up. Solar in all the capacity to do so, of course. Nothing really anytime soon coming his way. As I say that, some Hellions and a Cyclone start coming his way. With the Reaper there as well. Is he waiting for one more? Yeah, he is. Okay, yeah. So Solar's got a bit more time here. Gets the Raven involved as well. Doesn't look like a group of units you would immediately jump the mineral line with, though, right? It feels like more of a Queen Assault kind of army composition, this. Moves into the middle. Is he looking for Overlords? Alright, gets 2 more Hellions. How's this gonna work? Is it gonna work? There's a fair bit of Zerglings here. Just gotta have good control from Solar, and I feel like you should be okay against this. The auto turret is quite a pain. I don't know if you want to engage that, really. I guess you can with this amount of queens. But yeah, just gets a lot of creep. You have the zoning tool of that turret right there to stop your Hellions and Cyclone from taking damage. Or the Raven, I suppose, as well. And then you, you just go in for the creep tumors. Instead of spending the energy on the command center to scan, you use the energy on the Raven to kind of give a bit of leeway for those Hellions and the Cyclone to get away again. This is some good creep denial, though, right? For sure. It's skilled 6 creep tumors so far. The third and the natural base just barely connected with a tiniest bit of creep right now. Of course, one creep tumor will remedy that situation at the same time, but you know, Solar can't be all too happy about this. Especially if there's a bio push coming in after this with the Marine siege tank. You know, these areas right here, absolutely crucial to have at least a little bit of creep spread going for like 2-3 creep tumors to make those defenses hold off as nicely as you can and avoid that snowball experience, right, that we've discussed earlier, that you sometimes find yourself in as the Zerg, just reproducing more and more Zerglings as a wave after wave of Terran arrives on your front door. Looks like this wave of Terran, not really an issue, that is for sure. Plenty of Lings with the Queens there as well, kind of providing a bit of backup. Deals with that first initial bio play quite efficiently. It's, What kind of interests me here is that, you know, those both parts of the game from GUMIHO, they don't seem to line up all that perfectly well. Maybe he was trying to mind game Solar in a way there by clearing out the creep on this area, right, between the third and the natural all the time, over and over again. In my mind, that just kind of screams like, alright, this is the place where I want to make that push. This is where I need to creep denials, so then afterwards I can come in with that siege tank, with those marines, and take that ground. Now, to be fair, he didn't set up onto creep here anyway, but, you know, I feel like this is the less important area to kind of capture. You have this very tight choke points here. It's a bit rougher for the Zerg to clean up. And you did just invest a lot of that early game into denying all the creep over here. Coming in once more, just denying creep. Ooh, careful, GUMIHO. A little bit of a Baneling connection there. Does manage to pick up most of the Marines, though, once again. Just above 50% of them. Which in my book always is most of them, right? If we split up 100 Marines and I give you 49 and I get 51, I'll have most of the Marines after all. So, quite the aggressive stim pack there. Not sure if that was entirely necessary. Wants to set up a wall here. That would be really good for him. If he has a bit of a moment to set up this wall right now. Look at the army of Solar, though. It's growing at such terrifying speed. Both flanks right now. Only supply depots right here really protecting the third base of GUMIHO. And that might be the point of focus now for the Baneling wave. GUMIHO could benefit from having a couple of sensor towers here, I would say. Is starting to build them, though, as I'm making a point about it. Excuse me. Man. Alright. In they come. Zerglings, Banelings, the whole shebang. Circus back in town, baby, and they only brought Zerglings and Banelings. Like having a circus where they only brought in, you know, giraffes and elephants. Nothing else, nothing more. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad. Giraffes and elephants. A counterattack from GUMIHO, though. That is a lot of Marines now across the fields here. Not that many Banelings remain. Is this how you deal with this attack? Hold on a moment. And it's actually quite smart. Just going for the counter-offensive, letting those Banelings destroy your mineral line. And then just, if you're at that moment in time, just suddenly across the field, your opponent shouldn't have that many Banelings. You should be trying to reproduce them. If you don't give them a time to recreate those Banelings, if you're on top of the location where you would like to make those Banelings, maybe that damage is going to be so much that it will just immediately tie up the trading here overall. And that is kind of what it feels like to me right now. GUMIHO killed the base, killed 12 workers overall. Solar does still have a 5 basic eco, though. So I don't think he's dealt enough damage. Even with the 15 drone kills, right? Probably still not enough, but that was a very interesting move. I can see that kind of work. More often than not, against this Baneling style, what I've seen at least, is people just kind of sitting back in their own base and trying to catch all these Zerglings and Banelings from coming in. But it makes sense to me to just go for that counter-attack as well. Those Banelings, they explode once and then it's gone. It's going to be a heck of a lot of damage, but Marines going uncontested, just shooting away, could do a whole lot of damage as well. I guess this is the problem then, after that, when you sacrifice your Marines, and then another wave of Zergling Baneling arrives, and you have no Marines to stop it anymore. That does seem to be a problem. There is still more harassment going on as well, but it's just the slightest bit of harassment. GG is called 3-1 in this series right now. Puts Solar onto match point. No proxies whatsoever from GUMIHO so far in this series. Something worth noting. Could be the case that he's just trying to get more replays out there, right? With another big tournament coming up. He just wants people not to fully be aware that he does proxy. If he just plays every map like this, right? People could be trying to do some research and be like, alright, well, GUMIHO doesn't proxy. And then Suddenly he does. Or maybe he just really doesn't like the proxy. Who knows? Who knows? It's all a big old game of hearsay. Or see-say, actually. In StarCraft 2. I can just see. If I could hear his thought process, that would actually be easier than seeing what's going on with his thought process. Third base safe and sound is going to get constructed here. 2 Marines moving across the map. Interesting location. Is he trying to shoot down some overlords right now? Could be the case. There's the Zerglings. Waiting for his buddy 3rd Marine. And managed to prevent walking into one of those Zerglings. Is he gonna try to kill these Zerglings right now? Huh. Well, I'm not sure what to say about this. Was he just trying to snipe down overlords and Zerglings and stuff like that? I imagine so, right? That's what I can think about that. Not much else you're gonna, you know, imagine doing with 3 Marines walking like that across the map. I would just be terrified of like 6 lings showing up all of a sudden and just ruining my day. Especially if they're spread out like that. It didn't happen though. The Marine's still alive. Solar not really overreacting to anything either though, to be fair. Just droning up at the regular good old pace that the Zerg can. Losing a creep tumor, but not losing the drone. As he, once again, kind of just gets himself to a pretty solid work account. Once again, that Raven on the menu for GUMIHO. You know, at least that I've seen Innovation do experiments with the Raven play quite a bit. I think I may have seen Maru as well try it out. Well, I probably have seen most of the Terrans just play with it a little bit, but usually not more than like 1 or 2 games, really. But GUMIHO bringing it out here almost consistently throughout the series so far. One game we had a battlecruiser. It's kind of worked together with the Raven play in a way, right? Because you're expecting the Raven and then suddenly battlecruisers pop out. It's a nice and cheap way. Well, I'd say cheap. It's a solid way to get rid of a lot of creep tumors without utilizing the scan energy all the time. Right, so you just get a lot more muling in. That's a lot more money in the bank. The gas that the Raven costs, usually not the biggest of worries for the Terran. I'd say in the early game, though, it's a bit more problematic because it slows down all of your upgrades and such. Or at least it's going to slow down 1 or 2 upgrades, right? That's the bare minimum of what it's going to do. So that could be a counter-argument as to why you don't want to do this. Because, well, you normally are what the Terran revolves around, right, is making these types of timing attacks with the upgrades coming in at the right time, and then being on the opposite side of the field with enough units to make that attack happen. If you delay these upgrades, that's going to delay the entirety of the attack by quite a bit, right? If you spend 200 gas before the 200 gas, right, it's the minimum, well, the resource you don't get that quick. That makes sense. It's going to be quite a bit of a delay. Zerglings ready to defend against the Hellions. The 1-2 punch here. Not being distracting enough apparently for Solar. Just kind of sacks that base in its entirety. Doesn't mind too much. Ooh, nice snipes on those Banelings. GUMIHO picks up a couple of those as well. 3 of them in total. That's a decent trade there for GUMIHO, I would say. Pretty reasonable little engagement right now. He's trading efficiently, but is he trading enough? That's my concern here, perhaps. Right? He managed to force cancel on that hatchery, but there's another hatchery about to finish up anyway. He killed a drone, but he only killed 1 drone. Right? Oh, no, he killed 2 of them. Sorry, that's twice as many. He killed 2 drones. And that's about it. That's about it. Right? Couple of links, a couple of banelings, the overlords, but it's like, yeah. Stuff you anticipate to lose as the Zerg here. It's not going to slow down your economy that much, other than it would normally. Right? If you just play normally without taking those casualties. Because you're playing anyway with the idea of like, yeah, I'm going to probably lose some of that anyway. So these drops and such, right, they're standing still a lot for GUMIHO, I feel like. In comparison to some of the other Terrans. Right? He's quick on this stuff, right? Picking it up and everything. Careful with the siege tanks, but he's just not hitting the Zerg over and over and over again. He's maybe done like 2 pushes in total on both sides. Where some other Terrans may have been able to, you know, make the engagement happen maybe 3 or 4 times. And that engagement is important because it doesn't take too long before the Zerglings and Banelings are on top of you, and if you have to get away from there, but them closing that distance to you, that's when you start trading super efficiently. And the more times you force the Zerg to close the distance with you, the better it is, obviously, right? For the later parts of this game, the easier it's going to be when you get to that eventual, inevitable big army versus army battle, where you no longer can just pick up and leave. Because, well, if you do, you're going to lose a whole lot of bases. Or you're just going to lose the game because where you're going to put your units down. The Zerglings and Banelings are just underneath you now, you know? That type of thing. Alright. Tries to get some more work going there. Army for Solar, a little bit frightening for me. I will say. Vipers starting to be incorporated now as well, as seemingly the siege tank still the hope for the Terran here to deal with the splash damage. Another good pickup there from GUMIHO. Trying to deny some creep on the left flank and the right flank as well. So there is a big Baneling attack starting to get ready. Let's see what they'll be running into. And there's also Hellbats there, of course. There's a planetary fortress overall. The Hellbats blown up by the Banelings. Oh, moves away from that location. I think that's an okay call. With the planetary fortress and, you know, the siege tank, the marauder stuff there, kind of really weakening the blow you could throw. Great drop defense so far from Solar as well. You have to hand it to him. Unit trade screen. Still in favor for GUMIHO, but the numbers overall for both players are quite low. So, again, I don't think Solar's too concerned with it. This could be a troubling area right now. The army is picked up, but, I mean, there you go. Now you can't really put it down anywhere anymore. Well, you can, but so far back that these Zerglings and Banelings, they're going to get good connections onto your mineral fields, right? Oh, this is... Yeah, they definitely are. They definitely are. 20 SCVs go down. The planetary yet lives. 20 SCVs. That is a solid amount. Unless if we have about like 5 orbitals, of course. How many do we have? We have 3 of them. 2 more command centers are over here available. So we might actually get to 5 of them. How heavy is the second swing going to be from the attack of Solar, though? That's a good question. Can GUMIHO prepare quickly enough for the secondary wave? As Solar is starting to take absolutely everything, every single base here on the map that has not been taken yet. It's either got a hatchery building or a Zergling on duty in the ground. Or a Baneling even. Wow, okay. That's commitment. Gonna have to be responded to by GUMIHO. And actually... Okay, Planetary Fortress and North. The siege tanks can really shoot because of the blinding clouds. And down goes the Planetary. Link's not done yet. More Banelings, more than enough to kill another Planetary. Unless if they all get shot down by the siege tanks there. Unfortunately for Solar they do. This base still floating around, unsure of what its responsibilities are in this game. Floating back across to the other side. More Zerglings here on this flank as well. Looks like 18 SCVs once again down the drain for GUMIHO. But it's army supply though, 130 strong versus the 80 army supply available for Solar. This could be the counter-attack of a lifetime. This could be where suddenly GUMIHO strikes back and finds himself on a winning foothold. But he's going to have to do damage here, and I don't think he can sit around waiting for the creep to recede, because there's just too gosh darn much of it. You're just not going to have a good time waiting for all of that to dissipate. And, well, apparently he already waited a little bit too long. The Zerglings and Banelings were back, and they just destroyed all of the siege tanks. Bar 1. Actually, bar 3. Actually, bar 5. Where are all these siege tanks coming from? Bar... Wow, okay. Never mind, there's still a lot of them. Never mind. How many factories does this man have? It's only 2, right? Building... Oh, no, he does have 3. Okay. Are they all on tech labs? They are. Wow, 3 siege tanks at a time. Alright. Lurkers on the field now as well for Solar. I wasn't even realizing that he was making that transition happen. That's going to make this even more brutal right now with this attack coming in. Does he have enough, actually? I'm not entirely convinced. He got all the siege tanks, though, so what are you realistically going to do against these Lurkers at this point in time? He doesn't have Ghost. Needs a good spread around. The Baneling numbers are kind of dwindling as well, especially if he blows them onto the Planetary. So the Bio could attempt to crush these Lurkers right now. Is it still enough? The Banelings and the Zerglings coming in from across the map, ready to pounce. And GUMIHO just doesn't have the numbers. GG is called, and Solar wins game number 5 as well, taking home the crown. Taking home the victory. Well played by Solar there.